before we go off
Oh yeah.
topic too much, Kaylin, what movie do you have?
Well, first of all, I want to, because it's been a minute, remind everybody to like, subscribe, comment, share, do all of those good things because I want to know what y'all are enjoying, especially comments. I know I'm always harping on this. We've been seeing more of them lately, which I super, super love. Every time somebody comments, Henry just shoots me a text. It's just like, hey, we have comments. Look at them. And I'm just like, yes. So appreciate it. The like
Trying to
two of you
move.
who are
I'm trying to
commenting.
move the people who
We
send me.
like the comments.
Well, you know, I've,
We
I'm,
love
get, I'm
them.
getting those DMs. I call them fan.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm trying to get those people to go public with what they're telling me privately.
Yes, because I love it. I really love hearing what you guys are liking. Very, very much. So if you want to hear me rant about swords and knives at some point, let us know in the comments. Alternatively, I can just talk to you about Lina Wertmuller, one of my absolute favorite directors. Love her. So
The
I'm
goddess
going to
of
be
immortals.
talking, yes, I'm going to be talking about my favorite of her films that I have seen, which is Love and Anarchy. Also just one of her best ones. It is phenomenal, absolutely incredible film. And I don't just say that because I'm kind of anarchist and have biases. So so I wanted to talk about Lina Wertmuller in general and women directors in Italian cinema in general a little bit before I get into this particular film, just because it's been historically a very, very male-dominated cinema, especially in terms of directing. Lina Wertmuller is often incorrectly cited as Italy's first female director. That's not the case. She was the first one to really, really, really take
Who was
off.
who was
She's
the
very
first one?
important.
Because I don't know.
The first one is Elvira Notari, who made films between 1916 and 1930, and the
Oh
fascists
wow.
basically told her to go F herself.
Ugh.
She did not want to conform to the stuff that they were pushing through. So,
Yeah, no
um,
doubt.
yeah, she and her husband formed their own film company. They put out dozens of films, feature films and shorts. She had a very heavy hand in creating them. Just really, really cool. I haven't actually seen any of her work, but I was reading about this. I'll send you guys
Thank you.
definitely a link to what
I
I was reading.
I'd
It
never
was,
heard of her.
Man.
yeah. But then Lena Wertmuller enters the scene in the 60s and starts making these really incredible art house films. She was very strongly influenced by Fellini. Um, really, really big influence on her. So she was the first female director to really get this like major, major, major acclaim and to be very well known and get the respect that she actually deserved. So still phenomenally incredible director, very important historically, but not actually the first female director. So
She has something in common
correct
with
these
Argento.
historical records.
She has something in common with Argento that I revealed to you earlier. She also
Yes.
early on, wrote screenplays for
Hmm.
genre movies. She wrote When Women Had Tails, which I think
Hmm.
is hilarious.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Some
Yeah.
feminists hate it, but then I'm
Wait,
like,
the caveman comedy?
yeah, I think it's hilarious.
To be fair,
Oh.
some feminists hate all of her films.
Okay,
So
you got the
there's
floor.
that
Tell us
too.
about it.
I maintain that if you're a feminist and you hate her films, you did not understand her films. That's my opinion. I obviously cannot speak for every feminist on the planet, but that's my take. Um, so Mueller gets into a lot of stuff that has to do with gender, sexuality. She talks about machismo in Italy and Italian culture. There's a lot of political stuff. Social class is really, really big in her stuff. So not only does she have this like fascist versus anti-fascist or anarchist thing going on in Love and Anarchy and other films, there's also just like a lot of class warfare type of like dialogue in it. Sometimes really overt and really on the nose, sometimes more subtext, and I find that really, really fascinating. Actually, the first of her films that I ever saw was Swept Away, which
Yeah.
really
Same
deals
here.
with that class struggle. It was my
Oh
first.
yeah.
I still love it. I have such a soft spot for that film. It is wonderful. Um, and she's also really known for several other films. The other couple of them that I've seen are The Seduction of Mimi, which was my second of her films.
I bought that
Um,
last year on Blu-ray. I
nice.
rewatched it. How about
Yeah,
how about
that's also a really good
I'll
one.
I'll wait for you to give the list. There's one.
Oh,
There's
and
one.
the other one I wanted to mention is Seven Beauties. That's
Seven.
another
That's it.
extremely well-known one. Yeah.
Incredible
All
movie.
phenomenal, really, really good films. Like I said, she is one of my favorite directors. really, really love her work. And another just like fun fact about her, she is on the Guinness Book of World Records for the longest film title. And I'm going to read it to you.
It's Swept
It
Away.
is in Italian.
Yeah.
So this film title is titled Un fatto di sangue nel comune di Siciliana fra due uomini per causa di una vedova si sospettano motivi politici, amore, morte, scemi. Lugano, belle, tarantelle, tarallucci e vino. Or Blood Feud.
Oh, Blood
As
Feud
it
has
is
a longer
commonly
title
noted.
than Swept Away. Swept Away is what? Swept away by a
Swept
something
away
destiny
on
and Rhapsody
the
of August.
Azure Mediterranean on an August day, or like something like that. I don't have it memorized.
I love Italian movie titles.
I do too. They're so good.
They're like poetry.
They're so good. They're beautiful. And Wertmuller in particular is known for these like insane titles, and I absolutely love them.
So what did that translate as? I mean, what did it literally translate as?
Oh boy. I would honestly have to check a couple of words because my Italian is decent, but not that good.
I didn't know if you'd read it or not, so that's cool.
Yeah, I meant to look it up, but I ran out of time on my research, and that was not as high a priority as some of the other things.
Did you watch Blood Feud yet? I haven't
watched Blood Feud yet, but it is on my list. It's one that I want to watch. I've been having trouble tracking down some of her films, but Henry did find Blood Feud, and I was just like, oh, yes. So yes, it is on Tubi. I'm very excited to watch it when I get a chance.
Tubi, I don't work for
Tubi is the best. I love Tubi. Tubi is wonderful. So, yeah, Love and Anarchy. So this is my favorite of her films that I've seen so far. It's an art house film, as I mentioned, political drama, obviously. We were joking about not getting too political on the podcast, but it's literally impossible when you're talking about fascism. So
yeah.
Here I am with another anti-fascist movie. So this also features two of my favorite Italian actors who Wertmuller worked with a lot. One of them is Giancarlo Giannini. Love him, adore him. He's wonderful. He's also in Swept Away. He's also in The Section of Mimi. Fantastic actor.
He's her Robert De Niro.
He really is.
Yeah.
He really, really is. Yes.
Or Mariangela Mulatto is her alter ego.
She's the other one I was about to mention. I love her. She's also fabulous. Brilliant. Absolutely love her. They're so good. You know, a bit ago when Bill was talking about like some actors just kind of hold your attention before they even say a word. I was literally thinking about Giancarlo Giannini when he was saying that, because I was just like, his eyes. He has like this most intense gaze. Like from the second you see him on screen, you're just like, what's he gonna do? What's he gonna say? I don't know. I'm intrigued. Yeah, and Mariangela Mulatto is the same way, just very, very commanding presence. And they're both phenomenal actors. Wertmuller worked with them in a ton of different movies. They're both really wonderful. Also, Lina Polito and Eros Pani are both also in this film. There's kind of 4 kind of central characters in it. So whereas the first film I talked about for our Italian cinema spectacle here, spettacolo, kind of was about a fascist going in and assassinating an anti-fascist. This one is about an anarchist trying to assassinate Mussolini himself, which is a super fun premise in and of itself. Like already into it. Let's assassinate Mussolini.
I actually forgot that was the plot. It's been so long since I've seen it.
Because it is the plot, but it isn't the like point. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like it's interesting.
Right.
So that's the premise that we start with. So the main character, who's played by Giannini, Tunin, goes to Rome to assassinate Mussolini before World War II. This is kind of during/after the fascist takeover. He found out that his friend, who was also an anarchist, had an unsuccessful attempt trying to go assassinate Mussolini, and he got killed. So this guy decides, all right, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to go. I'm going to do this. It's going to happen. He then visits a brothel where he befriends one of the sex workers there, Salome. After they get busy, they have a talk, and they discover that...
Go ahead.
Huh?
Cat cameo.
Hey, Kalel.
Go ahead.
I love your cat. He's so cute.
Mm-hmm.
He's so cute. I have a cat named Mr. Crowley, but he is hiding. He has a black cat, yes. Anyway...
Black cat owners represent.
Yes.
I used to have
Love
one
black
called
cats.
Morpheus.
I love that. Oh,
I've got
black
one
cats
called
are really good.
Presto.
Oh wow.
That's amazing.
Mm.
Absolutely amazing. I maintain that next time I acquire a new black cat, if I get to name it, I want to name it Cosmic Creepers, referencing Bedknobs and Broomsticks with Angela Lansbury, because oh my God, that movie I love so much. Silly, amazing childhood
I
film
remember that movie. I
for
did
it.
like it as a kid. I think
Yeah.
I might have saw it in the theater. I can't remember.
Yeah. That has nothing to do with Italian cinema, though. So I'm going to get
Yeah.
back to Love and Anarchy before we get on too long.
Even my cat is puzzled by this detour.
What are you talking about, Dad?
Talk about Wertmuller. No.
So anyway, Tunian and Salome discover that they both really hate Mussolini. They both really hate fascism. And it turns out one thing that they have in common is that they lost somebody important to them from being killed by the secret police. So Salome's lover was also killed, wrongly beaten to death. So she agrees to help him with his plot to assassinate Mussolini. They plan to use this guy who's the head of the secret police, who's like the super machismo kind of guy. He's very like everything that Mussolini said that men should be in Italian society at this time, this guy was to a T, and like ridiculous. Just way over the top performing masculinity. It was
They would have
just
executed me.
a lot. Yeah, no, you and me both, my friend. We would have been in trouble. So they plan to use this guy basically to get a chance to kind of look around, figure out vantage points, come up with a better plan, and all of that. Tanine, however, ends up falling in love with another one of the sex workers from this brothel, Lina. So the two of them get to talking. There's like a party going on at the brothel. They have this like beautiful like moment of like looking at each other while the music is playing. It's very beautiful, and it's just like, oh, there is some tension there.
I remember
and
the brothel scenes.
Yeah. Of course you remember the brothel scenes, Henry. God. I mean, I do too. They're actually really interesting, legitimately, because everybody is a character, and just it seems like really fun. And it's that working class like vibe that Wertmuller just nails in her films so well. It's all these people just kind of hanging around, having a good time. It's like, don't be so like stuck up and all of that, and it's cool. But the tension in that scene is just beautiful, and the way that their attraction to each other plays out is just really interesting. And then because of Tunin being about to assassinate Mussolini, he's like very anxious about getting killed during this mission, understandably,
His
because of
character
course that's
always
what's going to
anxious
happen.
in her movie.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. So I often like judge romantic plots in films where it seems like people fall for each other like instantly, even though I'm kind of like that as a person. I should unpack that. Really should. They fall for each other in a matter of days. It is very fast. But when you consider that he's literally at what he thinks is going to be the end of his life, he thinks he's going to die. You get it. You got to live for today at that point. Yeah. And so he's terrified, and he asks her to spend the last couple of days that he has before the assassination plot is supposed to happen. They fall in love with each other more deeply. They spend time together along with Salome. They all have a wonderful time, and get to just kind of see the beautiful things in life, right? So then the morning of the assassination, when it's supposed to happen, Tripolina is supposed to wake him up early to make sure that he basically, goes to work on time, so to speak. And she and Salome get into a whole big fight about it. They're just like, well, we got to wake him up, right? It's like, well, no, don't wake him up. I don't want him to die. I'm in love with him. And he doesn't want to do this, really. He's an anxious mess. Like, let's just let him sleep in. And so he sleeps in. He sleeps through the assassination plot he's supposed to carry out. He's furious, absolutely loses it when he finally wakes up and just starts shouting very loudly, I want to kill Mussolini! And that gets him killed. So there you go. Moral of the story, don't go around shouting about wanting to kill the fascist leader. Not a good idea. Do it stealthily. Yeah. So it's a whole thing. And that's why I say that really, like, yes, the plot is that this guy is trying to assassinate Benito Mussolini, but that's not really what the film is about. The film is really about the romance that develops here, the relationships between these characters, this whole story of, you know, like, are you willing to die for your principles? Are you willing to
Mm.
let someone you care about die for your principles?
Mm.
Or at the end of the day, is his life more important than this opportunity to take down Mussolini? And I just find that really, really interesting. So that's why I really enjoy this film a lot. Just that like individual versus collective good thing just fascinates me in stories, and I feel like it just plays out so well in this one, and I really, really love it.
There's two layers to her movies. Usually the interpersonal relationships,
Yeah.
usually romantic, and the political. In that respect, even though she's very different stylistically, she's a lot like Jean-Luc Godard. His movies always
Hmm.
have a doomed romance, but always have a like, anti-establishment, down with the
Yeah.
man kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I'd say they definitely have a lot in common in that regard. Yeah.
So, Chuck, I know you're ailing. Can you have time for one more movie?
Yeah, no, I'm fine. I can keep going. No, okay. Well, my next one, and yeah, well, may as well keep the anarchy ball rolling.
Yes.
Is going to be Tinto Brass's or the Howl.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
And this is another one. My wife wrote a review of it for back years ago, which piqued my interest.
I
But
think I read her review.
yeah,
I'd
okay.
seen it though before, but we talked about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it to this day. I'm just like, yeah,
Well,
I want to see I want to see the Break Broke Broken movie. And so finally uh she found we have it somewhere on disc somewhere in this house,
hmm.
but we haven't found it yet. But she scared up a version on YouTube, which if you click closed captioning, it'll give you American subtitles.
Okay,
So over the last couple of days, I watched The Howl, and
cool.
that's a lot to unpack.
It is a lot to
Wow.
unpack.
Hmm.
There's a lot going on
It
there.
ain't no Caligula,
No,
and I mean that in a
no.
good way,
Oh yeah.
because Justin already did his panning of Caligula on this very channel.
Well, what I'll say about Caligula is it's an astonishing mess, but just there are things in there that I cannot go into at this point.
I
But
like it better than Keith or Justin did, but
yeah,
and they didn't see. Well, Keith has seen the uncut. Justin saw the cut version in the theater. I'm thinking it's playing in the theater again, and they're still playing the cut version. Even the cut uncut Blu-ray is selling like crazy. What the hell is wrong with them?
Wow.
Not that I'm
well,
saying that I think that the motive for putting those scenes in the movie weren't mercenary. And the Tinto Brass, I
mhm,
know he was unhappy, but
yeah.
still, I'm a fussy about uncut stuff. I want it to be uncut.
Well, we've got a couple of different cuts
Oh
around
wow,
here,
cool.
and but there's I guess this new one coming out, which is like the ultimate cut
Yeah.
or the something or other cut. But again, I'm not going to get too far into that. But it's just the one thing you're not ever to anyone's satisfaction going to get is the Tinto Brass cut. It's like everyone yearning for the ultimate Snyder cut or whatever. It
Yeah.
ain't gonna happen
Well, that did
in this
happen.
day and age.
Maybe shouldn't have happened. Let me ask you a
Well,
question
No.
about this director. Have you seen any of his pre or post Caligula? Not Salon Kitty, because I lumped that in with Caligula.
hmm.
Erotic movies, most of which aren't translated in English yet, like Miranda and Paprika, and I've seen a bunch of them, and I gotta
I've
say
heard Paprika. I've heard of
that
Paprika. I heard
I
it's really good.
forgot that
Paprika
it's
is really cool.
Deborah Caproglio. Oh my god.
I think the big one Heather keeps telling me about, which we've got that one too, but I haven't seen it, is Frivolous Lola.
Yeah, that's one I've been meaning to
Hmm.
see too. I heard that's
I
good.
haven't seen that one either.
He's good at eroticism. I mean, he's really.
Yeah.
I think they're not porn, and yeah. Anyway, go ahead. Down that, not down that rabbit hole. When we do
Well-
our show on adult cinema, we'll get to all this. I'm kidding.
Oh,
yeah.
goodness.
Well,
And when I tell you, I have some interesting ones that are actually in Italian cinema.
Yeah. All right, buddy.
that will be a fun show. But Tina Omont and Gigi Proletti are the lead characters. They are some couple who decide they're going to get married, and then they go on this voyage on this tour bus that gets burned to the ground, and then they go through all these adventures, and it takes them through some orgy with a lot of genuine animal cruelty going on. And
there is, sadly.
And we haven't gotten Cannibal Holocaust yet, but we've skated up fairly close to it.
It's Italian.
Yeah, it's Italian. Really. Yeah, animals. See that's an Italian filmmaker. Stay away.
Well, but, even Italian Americans, Coppola cut the horse's head off. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
man. It's genetic.
Enough.
Sorry, Italians. What?
I am going to be, for the record, sending the links to these episodes to all of my former Italian professors, and they're going to get to this part and just be like, what?
We're talking about filmmakers.
We kid.
They're weird, not the populace.
Okay. All right, cool.
We kid.
We
fine.
Kid. Filmmakers are weird. Got it.
But we kid, but we always kid with love.
Well, and also many a truth is said in jest, as Shakespeare said. So go ahead.
That's true. Also, we talk a lot of smack about Americans, so
yeah. So there you go.
I'm afraid of them.
Talking smack about our own people too, especially us in particular.
Universal ridicule. Anyway,
they deserve it. Yeah.
There is nothing that I won't stop and laugh at, including things I love.
Mm-hmm. I'm that way too, and people think you're morbid or irreverent, and it's.
I am morbid and irreverent.
I say yes, I'm both.
We'll laugh at anything unless something's actually hurt.
Yeah, or it's a coping mechanism, and I'm like, okay, so what? You got yours, baby. Well, let me have mine.
Oh my god.
Well, that's what I always tell people: is laughing is always an option.
Right.
But
oh boy.
Anyway, so they go
got us howling with laughter. Anyway, I'm so sorry.
We've covered the howling on this show. Chuck covered the howling. Now he's covering the howl.
Yes, a lot of howling going on. And next up, Ginsburg. But anyway, not really. But so this couple go through all these adventures out in this wild or whatever it is with naked pretend philosophers riding pretend horses to pretend houses where they have cannibalism. These orgies, with lots of animals being killed.
Like performance art of that period, like actionism.
It's
did that a lot.
Like actionism, like the Panic movement. It's I would relate strongly to the Panic movement.
I actually like actionism. I mean, the animal stuff does bother me, but I just think it's fast. I wrote an article that was actually published in a magazine, National Magazine, about it.
Oh, dope.
We'll talk about that another time.
I'm so curious. You keep dropping these things, and then I forget to actually follow up and ask you about them later.
There's a lot of crumbs to pick up, so go ahead.
This is like every conversation in my house.
They'll piece all of this together for us, and we can just be like, ah.
Same here. Me and my cat talk about this shit all day long.
Me and my cat and my dog and my lizard talk about it too. Anyway.
Yeah, and the cats and the dogs and
there were also
lizards.
Forget
to remind you of stuff.
Yeah, there were also lizards crawling on Django in Django Kill. Me and Bill forgot that.
Oh my god!
He remembered the vampire bats, but not the lizards. They were cute though. The lizards were cute.
I love lizards. I do have a pet lizard.
Thomas Million wasn't into it.
Everybody take tally.
But, how many weird animal situations can we find in our Italian cinema picks?
Oh yes, but. Yeah, anyway, so eventually this performance art cascade goes into some kind of big reenactment of the rise of Mussolini and fascism, and I think there's like a stand-in for Hitler yelling off a podium or something. And I don't know. Yeah, here we go. My more Hill Rod factors. Yeah, what I don't know what all is necessarily going on in there. Supposedly, it would help a lot to bone up on the history of Italy while watching these, but it's
Yeah.
just kind of
Mhm.
mind blowing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know whether you could qualify Tinto Brass as an according to Hoyle anarchist, but he is definitely anarchic and definitely
Yeah, based on his first 3 or 4 movies, not his first couple, they were
very
actually
anti-fascist.
yeah, those three like the
Mhm.
Howl and
Yeah, because
Nero
like
Subianto.
anti-fascist and anarchist, like there's a lot of overlap
Oh
often,
yeah.
not
Yeah.
necessarily. You can be
Oh yeah.
anti-fascist without being an anarchist. And I would argue you can't be an anarchist without being anti-fascist. I feel like they are very diametrically
Yeah, yeah.
opposed, but I'm sure there's
Yeah.
someone out there who would tell me I'm
There's a
wrong. If you
Venn
stick two
diagram.
leftists in a room together, you will get at least 12 different opinions.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no argument there. So what does this lead to? I haven't seen it in so long. I want you to remind me.
Well, I don't know. It ends up with them in some big open air asylum. They all get kind of routed up into that, but the couple break everybody out and it turns into a big, I don't know, insurrection where they kill the leader or doctor or whatever he is, and then the inmates are literally running the asylum. At some point after that, they end up in some idyllic hippie nudist kind of field, and the marriage somehow doesn't transpire after being like almost like the messiah for the for the incarcerated patients and busting them out. She decides she can't do it anymore, and she runaway brides it down the road in a convertible, and then gets killed in a car accident,
No.
which is and then he's out there in a field with a big bass drum saying something like, yeah, well, it sucked that happened to her, but I kind of saw it coming. I'm like, wow. But pretty batshit crazy movie that I did enjoy. Um, Again, there are a lot of kind of the ins and outs of it, which I really don't necessarily understand.
I I think it's very much cinematic. It's really hard to describe because it's a lot of images.
Yeah,
And
Mhm.
the more I watched, first time I watched it, I was like, oh wow, this is like a Lost Jodorowsky movie. When I
yeah.
watched it again, no, it's not nearly as good as Jodorowsky movies.
No, it's not. But
But I did like the spirit of it. It was a lot of people compare it to Viva la Muerte, by Fernando Arrabal.
I can see that.
I've only seen it once. I finally saw a bad print on YouTube like 2 years ago. But the thing is, the more I watched The Howl, the more I did start seeing those quick elements of the animal stuff, and
Yeah,
it really bothered me. Not to where I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna sell it. I did end up selling it on eBay, but that's because I was broke. Um,
yeah,
but but that's very pronounced, more pronounced in Viva La Muerte. A friend of mine refused to. He wanted to see it, and then he heard about that. I showed him The Howl, and then he's like, "Yeah, I don't think I want to see Viva La Muerte." Um,
Mhm.
but Arbal's a nut. That's the subject for another time. But I believe that
oh yeah,
that movie, The Howl, reminds me of the Mexican. Um, I don't know what you'd call that movement, but they were part of the Panic movement at one time, which
yeah,
was not just Jodorowsky, but Fernando Arrabal,
yeah,
Juan Lopez Moctezuma, who I just love,
Mhm.
and Roland Topor. I wasn't Mexican,
yeah,
but he was part of that scene. And all
Mhm.
four of those guys created amazing stuff, but they all had
yeah.
the Panic together.
Well, it's really interesting because when you watch, now I think they were kind of related. If you watch Jodorowsky's Fando Elise, I
Mhm.
mean, it seems like a continuation of Viva la Muerte. they both have this character named Fando, who I think is crippled at the end of the Arabelle movie, but then when you watch Fando Elise, I think it's her that's crippled.
It is her. That guy, you reminded me of that because I think Auerball did kind of co-write Fendo and Lise, at least a little
Yeah, yeah.
bit. Okay. Wow,
But,
I love it. Did you guys have, I'm assuming that Heather got the Arrow box set of
oh yeah, oh yeah,
that's kind of one of those things. We better grab it because with Jodorowsky, the luck we've had, it might like disappear or go out of print, you know.
yeah.
Honestly,
But now it's like I got Fendo and Lise, El Topo, Holy Mountain. My life is complete. I don't
But
have
something about all those filmmakers, Tinto Brass, Arabelle,
yeah.
they all really nail me on one level or another.
Yeah, me too.
And so that was a good watch.
Good. I'm glad you
The
liked it.
Howl.
I mean, you know, like I said, the more I watched it, the more I liked the political outrageousness, but the less I liked the carnage. Because I think some of it was kind of mean spirited. I mean, I think it was all for the story, but you could tell he was young. I mean, Deodato did it for a whole different reason. He was not young when he did it, and like we said, we'll cover Cannibal Holocaust another time. But so many filmmakers did it. But I do think Brass was. I just think that's the way they were raised. You know, I mean, a lot of people that I was raised with didn't like animals, didn't mind. I mean, my dad lived on a farm. He killed a lot of animals, he told me. You know, but you know, I'm animal rights, everybody. So if you think I'm a soy boy, you know, you can you can unsubscribe.
No.
Just kidding. Don't unsubscribe.
No, listen to the soy boy. Come up with
it's okay.
Come up with
I
good
eat
arguments.
It's fine. You can stick around.
Not all vegans are nuts, okay? We're nutty
That's
in
true.
a good way. Okay?
That's true.
Yeah.
And I'm not even a vegan or a vegetarian, and I'm nutty. So there you go.
I'm not even vaguely vegan, but you know, I got no problem with my friends who are.